Central Plains Water is a run-of-river scheme, which means all of our water comes from the river. We irrigate 45,000 hectares. 40,000 hectares of that area is supplied by Rakaia River, and annually we take about 2% of the annual flow of the river. The farmers schedule their water that they need for the following day, and we set the gates to suit that in relation to the flow settings on the river, and any surplus water will be discharged and returned to the river. Our storage is Lake Coleridge, so that's about 30 kilometres upstream. It's a hydro lake, and we have an agreement with Manawa, so often in the summer the river levels drop and we'll be on restriction, and they boost our reliability by providing that stored water.
The biggest challenge in this type of environment is obviously floods in the river. That's typically when there's a nor'west rain, nor'west winds, which means there's very high demand on the scheme. The farmers want water in those very dry conditions, but the river's running really high. One of the biggest pain points we've had over the last 10 years is it can take 3 to 5 days to get the scheme back up and running after a high event, because we have a fuse plug that blows out, which has to be reinstated after a high event.
Increasing the capacity of the weir really was an obvious answer. This was going to cost $3.50 a hectare, whereas everything else, storage on the plains, was in at $350 a hectare. So we could get some real advantage here, not necessarily solve the whole problem, but it was really going to be a goer.
By implementing a Labyrinth Weir, it allows us to spill more water before the final fuse plug blows, which means we can continue to operate. So typically we would have gone from 40 events where it could blow in 8 years down to around 2 to 3 with this new weir.
The existing weir was about 50 metres long. We effectively just make it into a zigzag or labyrinth type shape to effectively stack the weir into the same corridor that we had. So we don't have to open up more of the canal. So it's a very efficient way of creating more capacity in the same corridor.
We collaborated with Riley's designers around the design and Taylor Contracting and Smith's Crane to come up with a concept that could be built over the winter.
With this design, we precast probably 80% of the elements. So we could do a lot of that before the canal was shut down. Then when we shut the canal down, we could effectively get this weir in position within 2 or 3 weeks. And then really a lot of it is just tidy up work.
We needed to freight all that equipment and handle and lift it. We're fortunate with both Taylor's and Smith's, who provided the craneage, the concrete work, that they've had the resources to be able to provide that for us for the project.
We opened the intake point last week, and straight afterwards we had about 140 mils of rain in the Alps. The levels at our infrastructure just spilled over and didn't raise up very much. And then this weekend we'll probably get tested again. It might get to 1,000, 1,500, which should be well within its design capability.
We're certainly seeing higher frequency of high river flow events, and being able to operate and manage through those is really key.
Now we're in a position where we won't be so vulnerable those 3 to 4 times a season when we're potentially worrying about that fuse plug blowing, so it's taken that off the table.
This is really going to be a game changer for, one, the operation, and two, the shareholders. It really is.